gave this presentation to AGC a couple weeks ago, and Tony thought it might be valuable for me to present it to you guys. So it's really just a general overview of where we're headed with Senate Bill 260, what it means, and you know, kind of the structure and where we sit, you know, at CDOT, where the money, when the money's going to start flowing, and when we're going to get cooking. So with that, I'll see if it's going to go. All right. So, you know, a lot of you heard a lot of this as this was being lobbied, but the long and the short of it is this proposal does two things. It provides some real sustainable income to CDOT, and it's gonna, this money is gonna hit and build some infrastructure that's gonna save money and time spent on the roads. And I like to tell people that you know, when you sit in traffic for 20 minutes every day, that, you know, that adds up to be a couple hours a week. And when you, even if you're making minimum wage, a couple hours a week is you know, $30 a week. Multiply that by 50 weeks a year. That's a lot of money. And you know, when the fees you pay at the gas pump and on your driver's or your car registration, they don't add up to anywhere near you know, $30 times $50 a week, which is $1,500. No, but very few people, individuals, pay anywhere close to that in gas tax. So, you know, what this is going to do is going to help Coloradans save money and time spent on the roads. It's also got some environmental components that are going to allow us to get some new infrastructure built, but will also improving some air quality. Can you hear me okay, Tony?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Your slides aren't advancing.
Oh, the second one's not advanced. It doesn't say. What does this transportation?
It's still on the title screen. So what you would probably have to click down at the bottom right. It looks like a little AV screen. If you click on that, that'll put it in presentation mode, and then you'll be able to advance your slides. You just have to click on each slide.
So
there you go.
Can you see that? Is that advance it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me go back to the. All right. So the sustainable funding source for transportation is also critical. You know, right now we're using gas taxes that have not been raised in almost 30 years, and this fee structure is going to provide an increase in transportation funding that we've not seen in 30 years, with the exception of a few fees that we've had added on. But it also is going to be indexed to inflation in the future, so we won't, you know, 30 years from now, we won't be saying, oh yeah, we haven't raised the gas tax since 2021. So the sources of the funding, and all of these numbers are set up over the next decade or so. So it's the total increase in transportation funding is $5.4 billion. About 70% of that is new fee revenue, and 30% of that is general fund and stimulus dollars. So we've got some transfers from Colorado's general fund, and then there's also some pass-throughs from the feds with the COVID stimulus. So over 11 years, the general fund transfers are going to average 144 million per year. Over the first 5 years, it's 186 million per year that's being transferred, and you know that's huge. The funding is about 2.2 billion is going to go into our existing HUTF equations, where CDOT gets about 60% of it, And then locals, whether it's counties or cities through the HUTF equation, they get the other 40%. There's a number of enterprises. Some of them are new, some of them exist. There's a non-attainment regional enterprise. There's a bridge and tunnel enterprise, which is a retooling of the bridge enterprise, where we're going to add some funding and some and also some responsibility for our tunnels. There's a program called Revitalizing Main Streets, which we've had some success with, where we produce block grants to local agencies where the main street in their town is a state highway, and they're able to make some improvements to it. During the pandemic, we did a lot of programs that built sidewalk cafes so that restaurants could stay in business with outdoor dining. But it's not just that. It's just a program where we can increase the livability of some of these main streets through towns. The multimodal options fund is a similar block grant program where we can build some transit infrastructure. There's some green enterprises regarding clean fleet and the non-attainment areas where we're working on some of the greener technologies, whether it's electric vehicles or air quality measures. And then there's also some stimulus support where, for the first few years, some of the faster fees that have been in place for the last decade or so are going to be turned off. And then the stimulus support is going to backfill those so that those funds will still be there, but the programs will, the funds will be gone, but the programs will continue. And then 8 years of COP payments. So our Senate Bill 267, we've borrowed 1.5 billion. We're going to borrow another 500 million this year. But the payment on those COPs has not been hard in statute, and now it is for the next 8 years. So that's very positive. These are where the fees are coming from. The first column, or the middle column in the darker blue, or that says original proposal, that was where it started out in the legislature. The light blue over to the right, that's where we landed. So those are the numbers I'm going to focus on. The first is the road usage fee. It starts, I believe, July 1st of 22. It starts at 2 cents a gallon, and it goes up 1 cent annually for the following 8 years, and that will generate $1.5 billion over the next decade. The clean truck fee is similar to the road usage fee, only it's focused on diesels. Again, and I can't read what the number is because there we go. That will generate 401 million over the next decade. The EV equalization fee is an increase in electric vehicle fees. Right now, they're paying $50 a year. This is going to ramp up from 55 to 159 over the next 5 years. So that'll generate 321 million. The TNC fee, that is like your Uber sorts of service. So now you will pay 30 cents whenever you take an Uber or Lyft or any of those sorts of things. A delivery fee, 27 cents whenever Amazon or whoever brings a delivery to your front door. Personal car share, that is something like a Zip car. Right now there's a $2 exemption similar to a rental car, and that exemption will be lifted. So now if you do a Zip card, there will be a $2 fee on that. A rental fee, there's an existing $2 fee. It will be indexed to inflation and generate $75 million a year. A taxi fee, the legislation says they will conduct a study, but until that study is done, it remains zero. And same with autonomous vehicle fees. Projected revenue is zero. They will do a study, and then maybe someone will get an autonomous vehicle, and that will generate some revenue. But as of this moment, it doesn't look like it's going to generate any revenue. So this is a nice little bar chart that shows what the next decade looks like for CDOT's funding. So the light blue, and in fiscal year 22, it is the largest bar in the chart. So it shows the incremental revenue that's coming to CDOT over the next decade. So the first few years, we're going to get this big, it's almost a $450 million bump in our revenue. Most of that is, or a considerable amount of that are general fund transfers that are going to pay off our COPs. There was also a big stimulus tranche. I think it was 260 million that came through last summer. We used that to program some of our year 4 projects from our 10-year plan. So we've already committed some of that money, and those advertisements should be coming out in the upcoming months. But the idea behind this is it's going to take us a few years to spend that money down. And as we're spending that money down, that is when the fees will be coming up. So, if you look at that, the $450 million, if you integrate that out to fiscal year 24 or 25, that's when the other fees really start building. So the idea is that the big blue column on the left is gonna spread out over the next 2 or 3 years, and then about the time that money's spent down, that's when the new fees will be ramping up enough to make it meaningful. So our total contractor payments, if you will, are going to be increased a couple $100 million a year for the next 3 or 4 years until the fees catch up with that. Another important part of the bill is some things we've been working on, both with the contractors and the consultants and the legislature, and that's trying to get some transparency and accountability going. We've established some dashboards that show where our money's going, where the projects are, add dates, et cetera. Those have been focused on Senate Bill 267, where we're going to expand those to be program-wide. CDOT right now is rolling out a new project management software it's on the PM Web, I guess, database engine. We're calling the system On Track. So what it will allow us to do is oh, yes, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt again. Your screen, it looks like maybe you zoomed in, and now it's not advanced.
Here, let me zoom back out. Is that better?
I think we're stuck on the incremental funding slide.
How's that? Did it move? Just a second.
No.
It says my screen sharing is paused.
Oh, your screen sharing is paused now?
Yeah.
Just hold on one sec. Yeah, I'm not sure. It says you're co-host.
Here, let me stop share and try it again.
Okay. Okay.
Can you see it now?
I can see it. Yep.
I told you I wasn't good at sharing on Zoom.
No problem.
All right.
It's working.
Okay, so we're ramping up this new project management system that's going to allow us to to do these dashboards program wide, not just for Senate Bill 260 or 267, but for every project in the department. You know, those dashboards that we have for Senate Bill 267 are kind of clunky. Hopefully they're not clunky from your end, but they have to pull data from about 6 different locations within CDOT. They rely on, you know, monthly updates and little spreadsheets that our PRTO group has to, you know, hassle our project managers. And I think with this on track, everybody's going to be entering their project information in the same format, and the dashboards can just pull it straight from there. So, you know, the way we've got them now, it's not really scalable to do, you know, all 300 or 400 projects we have in the pipeline at any time. But I think with OnTrack, it will be. So look towards that in the next year. We've also, you know, we have a 10-year plan for all projects. The various enterprises that are being established or modified by this legislation, they will also have a 10-year plan. So we're all trying to think about, you know, not just projects that are coming in the next 2 or 3 years, but in the next decade. So hopefully that will help you guys plan as well. All right, did it jump then? Did the slide change for you guys?
It did. Yep.
Okay, good. So there are also some planning requirements for what we're calling regionally significant projects. So these are projects that are, you know, I'll call them the elephants in the room, things like Central 70, things like I-25 North. This is not going to impact, you know, a bridge rehabilitation or a repaving project. It's just for projects that have, you know, wholesale changes in capacity. And it's adding some requirements in our planning process that have to do with greenhouse gas emissions and vehicle miles traveled. And they're going to use some greenhouse gas rules that are under review right now by the Transportation Commission. We're establishing some greenhouse gas modeling techniques that will be similar to what we've done for decades in the ozone world. And it's actually, I think, very similar modeling to ozone modeling that will determine, you know, the greenhouse gas impacts of particular projects. And, you know, it is the kind of thing that, you know, a roadway that has, you know, traffic moving 5 miles an hour emits a lot more greenhouse gases than one that has a proper capacity, and the vehicles can move at, you know, 55 miles an hour. Even though you're increasing traffic and vehicle miles traveled, it is an environmentally positive step to get the traffic moving. So I'm excited about that, in that it looks at greenhouse gases both from a negative and a positive way when we're expanding roadway capacity. So CDOT and DRCOG and the North Front Range MPO, they have to update their plan to be in compliance with these policies by, you know, next October. So, you know, the rules are being established and rolled out right now, but the transportation plans have to utilize these models that are being developed. So aside from air pollutant emissions and greenhouse gases, we're also looking at particulate emissions during construction. So techniques on keeping dust down, phasing construction so that it's not dusty. That's an important part of the legislation. Developing a plan to mitigate air quality impact. So if you have a dusty operation, you know, not just live with it, figure out ways to keep the dust down, whether it's spraying with water or, you know, treating the exposed soils with mag chloride or whatever. And this applies to projects that do not have a signed NEPA document by next July, with the exception of I-270. We're in the midst of a NEPA study on I-270. It's unclear if we'd have a signed NEPA document by next July, but regardless, on I-270, we will have to do some of these requirements on corridors that have an existing NEPA document. We don't have to step back and do that. So this is probably the most important part of today's discussion. Where's the money going to go? So, the old real estate joke is location, location, location are the three most important things in real estate. In Senate Bill 260, that word is 10-year plan. So the 10-year plan is our North Star. Everything we're doing is tied to the 10-year plan. So when we released that a little over 3 years ago, we identified 4 years of projects, and the positive thing is through Senate Bill 260 and then also the stimulus money that came last summer, we are pretty much committed to the first 4 years of projects that we identified. So even though the fourth year of Senate Bill 267, we have not issued those COPs yet, we've got close to the $2 billion that were identified 3 years ago already ready to go. So what we are underway right now is we're calling it the year 4B projects. And we've got with an extra about little over $200 million worth of projects that are above and beyond the original 4B or the original year 4 list. So we are attempting to get those approved by commission this winter so that we can put them out to add next spring. Some of them are projects that are regionally significant. So we really can't put those to add until the greenhouse gas modeling and the greenhouse gas rules are in place. But if we wait for 6 months for that to happen, we will miss a season of good construction weather. So we're trying to get a list together in the next couple months to try to get those projects approved and those projects out on the street this spring. So where are those projects coming from? They're, the first 4 years of the 10-year plan, we had them prioritized. We had year 1 projects, year 2 projects, et cetera. Years 5 through 10 were just a big bucket that were unprioritized. So what we're doing now is working to prioritize some of those, what I call out year 10-year plan projects, where we're looking to see which ones can be designed quickly, which ones are necessary. We're also working with the local planning organizations to see which ones they're interested in getting. So I gave you, we have this list, and I'm going to show you the list in a second. I didn't want to clutter my PowerPoint, but I've given some examples in each of the regions. So in region 1 here in the Denver area, I-25 north between 84th and 104th, that's on the list. The 6th and Wadsworth interchange, the Pine Junction interchange up on US 285 at the boundary between Jefferson and Park County. Region 2, the New Pueblo Freeway. I misspelled Pueblo. I didn't even notice that till now. I-25 HOV lanes in the Springs, US 24 East widening. Region 3 in Northwest Colorado, the 205 interchange in Silverthorne, Westvale Pass auxiliary lanes, some US 40 improvements near Fraser, US 6 corridor Mesa County. Region 4 in Northeast Colorado, the State Highway 14 and I-25 interchange, a bunch of corridor improvements on I-76 and some repaving on I-76, some repaving on I-70, reconstruction on I-70. And in Region 5, US 160 Elmore Corners East, US 24 Buena Vista to Granite, State Highway 41 between Natarita and Nucla, and other projects. So here's a list, and I think Tony's going to forward this PowerPoint to everyone. here's a 10-year plan that shows the entire list. And there's that's what the list looks like. Obviously, you can't really read it on this, but it's got, every region has highway and transit projects, and that can be looked at. Then here is our dashboards. These are the Senate Bill 267 dashboards that I talked about a few minutes ago, where you can click on it. So there's the link. This is what it looks like. It's really cool. You can click on, where it says project count 90. You can click on that little, orange or whatever color that is box, and it will give you the list of all the 90 projects. If you're just interested in region 1, you can click on the left where it says region, and you click on that, and it will tell you how many of those are in region 1. Then you can click on the little orange bar, and it'll list those projects. It'll tell you which ones are in pre-construction, which ones are under advertisement, which ones are complete. You can also click on the little dots on the map, and it will describe that project. It's a very cool spreadsheet, and I encourage you, every time I get in there and play with it, I learn something new. It's fairly intuitive, and it's just kind of fun to bop around. And if you set filters on it and they don't work as well as maybe you hoped, you can always hit this little reset back up at the upper right hand corner, and it's like hyperspace on a video game. It puts you back to this screen right here. So it's you can't really break it. You can just play around and look at it, and if you get stuck or lost, just hit reset and it takes you back home. So I encourage everyone to get in there and play around with that. So most of you are aware of our go sheet and bidding information, but if you're not, this is a link of our go sheet. So that shows you what projects are supposed to go to ad in the next 90 days. And that's what the list looks like. The most important thing I like to encourage contractors is look at that project manager name, and don't be afraid to call those folks and ask them questions about projects. I think it's good for them. These are generally PE1s, lower level project managers within CDOT, and I think it's good for them to talk to contractors and build those relationships, because that's what this industry is built on, is relationships. So look at that go sheet, and don't be afraid to reach out to the project manager, and it's got their phone number and everything. So ask them questions and build those relationships. So speaking of questions, that's all I have. Does anyone have any questions about this presentation?
Great, thanks so much, Steve. Looks like we do have a question in the chat. Can CDOT add a date on the go sheet? It would help to know when it's updated. Oh, so like an update date as on the go sheet itself. That's
I will see what I can do about that. It seems it goes about every 2 weeks. I'll ask those guys to do that, just so it says when it was updated. Okay, good question.
great. Other questions for Steve? You can just jump in and speak up, or put it in the chat. Steve, I've got a question. So we've got the roughly $400 million front-loaded general fund money from Senate Bill 260, and we've got the final tranche of Senate Bill 267, which will be 500 million plus, right?
Yes.
And that's all coming, or all will be available this year, this coming year. What's the plan for, starting to get that work out on the street, and how that happened? I know that
a bunch of the front load, I guess it was 170 million, is included in Senate Bill 260, and that's the federal stimulus pass-through portion of it. And that's how we got ahead on the 4-year plan, is we We programmed those dollars last July. So those are the dollars that are going out to add right now. I think we called those the year 3B projects, which in reality were kind of the 4A projects. So that got us through the first half of year 4A. We had some premium on Senate Bill 267 that was also included in that. So that's the front-loaded hard dollars. The other front-loaded dollars are Senate Bill 267 debt service, some of the multimodal option fund projects, revitalizing main streets, and then backfill to CDOT for the faster fee reduction. So most of the upfront money we programmed last July. The good news is that leaves some Senate Bill 267 year 4 dollars that are unprogrammed, and that's what we're working to fund to identify right now. We're going to hopefully have a list here in the next month or two of projects that we can advertise, after the first of the year, so we can get those, dollars out on contracts and on the streets next summer. Some of those Senate Bill 267 projects are bigger, longer term projects. The Floyd Hill is one of them. I think that one is on the street right now for a CMGC solicitation, but we won't be doing hard construction on that probably for a year and a half or so. But that some of that Senate Bill 267, but in those out year 10-year plan projects, the years 5 through 10, we're going to prioritize those projects and trying to start rolling those out, this spring and summer.
Okay, great. There was a question, someone asked if you could put the screen up again with the 2 links to see the upcoming project. And just so everyone knows, we will send out Steve's presentation to everyone again, so everyone has it. But I don't know, Steve, if you're able to show that screen again.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
So this is the 10-year plan link.
And I think they were interested in the other one.
About to bid.
Yes. There you go.
Okay.
So there's the other question, Steve, while that's up and folks are screenshotting it or copying it, the other question was, what is the plan if there is a federal transportation bill? Once the federal transportation bill passes, if it passes, will that further accelerate the 10-year plan, or are there
exactly that's our hope? And in fact, we're trying very hard not to count our chickens before they hatch. And they're saying that that bill is going to get voted on by the end of the month. They said it was going to get voted on by the end of September. We're very hopeful that it will, and that it will be a real increase. I think worst case, we're assuming that it would be, the existing federal transportation bill would just be extended at its current funding levels, which our project list is based on that. But if it increases by another 100 or 200 million a year, our 10-year plan is going to rapidly turn into an 8-year plan, and we're going to have to really get cooking on the next project list after that.
Yeah, that would be good. That'd be a good problem to have.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Other questions for Steve? Well, I think.
Hey, Tony, I get one, if I could, please.
Sure.
Hey, Steve, how does the plan correlate to the annual budgeting process, whether it's go up and down, or how does that play into that?
So I lost you for about 10 seconds there. The annual budgeting process, like for asset management?
Exactly.
So, it would be part of that if the Transportation Commission decides that they would defer some of this funding into increased asset management, that would be their purview.
Okay.
Great. Other questions for Steve? Well, I think if Rebecca White is available next week, and next week or the week after, we will ask Rebecca to give everyone a presentation on how the 10-year plan is going to be updated. I think that would be another interesting topic because.
Okay. So have you reached out to her, Tony, or do I need to do that for you?
I spoke to Shoshana about it, so I can follow up. And
No,
follow
I
up
just
with
wanted to
Rebecca.
make sure if she was going to do a presentation, I didn't want to tell her about it at noon on Monday.
Right. Well, I'll make sure to get word to her early this week, today or tomorrow.
Okay.
Great. Well, it looks like we've got one more thing in the chat here. October 21st, new projects going to add will be posted on the CDOT Future Bidding Opportunities webpage. 7 new projects should be showing up. So it looks like October 21st, and this is from RB Simmons. Looks like October 21st there'll be 7 new projects showing up on the CDOT Bidding Opportunities website.
Okay. Thanks,
So that's
RB.
good news. Great. Well, Steve, thank you for taking the time to do this. We appreciate all your work. And I will send this presentation out to everyone so everyone has it. And we'll look forward to catching up with everyone again next week.
And if people have questions and they were too shy to ask in the public forum, I'd be happy to take their call and or their email and answer privately. So.
Great. We appreciate that, Steve.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks again, Steve. Thanks to
All right.
everyone.
So long.